Rachel and Jen are currently the only baby crib providers in the Columbia area. Baby Clip is just one of many businesses that can be worked around a busy schedule. African Americans account for 10% of the Columbia community, but they account for about 32% of traffic stops. According to updates from the task force, it has saved 124 people from flooding and evacuated 5 neighborhoods. The force is stationed in Brunswick County, North Carolina, and is split between Leland and Bolivia. The number of new single-family homes in Columbia has decreased by 43 so far this year, compared to the same time period last year. And according to the Home Builders Association, permits to renovate have increased by 85%. Mary Martin says the nurse's guilty plea is a good thing, and she hopes it gets the ball rolling in the case. Today, 49-year-old Melissa DeLapp of Columbia pleaded guilty to healthcare fraud in federal court. The group Faith of Vision is spending the night calling prospective Missouri voters. The multi-faith, multi-racial grassroots group has been working since September, focusing on minority voters who did not vote in the last midterm election. Today it was a muddy mess in the Rustic Meadows mobile home community in North Columbia. Trenches were already a problem for neighbors recently. Here at the Broadway Hotel, they're using more modern methods to get rid of their waste. They use an internal storage unit that collects all of the grease inside of the hotel and stores it inside instead of putting it outside. It's going to cost a lot to replace the AC units that were right behind me at Discovery Church. The pastor told me it was about $11,000. All that for only $60 worth of copper. Yeah, Emily, the lieutenant is still calling this a search operation. He's not calling it a criminal investigation. I'm here at the center. Over behind me, a huge group of people was gathered a little bit earlier. About 30 minutes ago, they went off into the woods to continue the search party. They're wrapping up another day of searching for little Darnell Gray. 2 juice boxes and some cookies are what filled 4-year-old Darnell Gray's Black Panther backpack when he went missing on Wednesday night. That was 5 days ago.
The focus right now is where Darnell Gray is, and who knows where Darnell Gray is, and whether or not they're willing to call and tell us where Darnell is.
Lieutenant David Williams says not much has developed in the investigation, but the department is expanding the search region.
We are not saying that he is missing and he's still in Jefferson City. We're saying he's missing and he could be anywhere.
Officers drained the pond on Linden Drive close to the apartment Gray called home. But Lieutenant Williams says they haven't found anything there.
This is our 5th day searching.
Nearly 100 volunteers also continue to search for the little boy.
We're here until we find Darnell.
Darnell's mother spoke out in the press conference for the first time today and is pleading for help.
If you please have any information of my son's whereabouts, can you please come forward? Please, please. Thank you.
Reward for information regarding Darnell's whereabouts is set as $11,000. Lieutenant says that you can remain anonymous and still receive the money. Special education teacher Cindy Conley has worked at Morrow Heights Elementary School for about 4 years now. She works with students who live with a range of disabilities. The gift she received today could change a lot of her students' lives.
I don't have one student that's verbal.
The end of the school day brought a surprise for special education teacher Cindy Conley. Her classroom was filled with co-workers and friends and a special gift she knew nothing about. The Jefferson City Public Schools Foundation received an anonymous donation of $10,000 that they gifted to Mrs. Conley's class of 6 special education kids.
I've always wanted to give kids that don't have a voice.
Of the 6 children in Conley's classroom, 3 of them are wheelchair-bound, 1 has autism, and all of them are nonverbal. Conley hopes to use some of the money to provide equipment that will help the children with their communication skills.
I become pretty inventive in this classroom as far as, okay, this kid needs this, so what can we maneuver, what can we make to help that student? So now with this money, hopefully I don't have to maneuver and make as much.
The money can also help the children with more than just their communication skills.
To adaptive equipment that help with motor skills, to toys that help with social development.
Conley said every day with her students is different, which makes it challenging and rewarding, and this surprise might make learning a little easier. A Missouri House bill and a Senate bill would allow more protection for those who are accused in a Title IX case. The bill mimics themes proposed by Federal Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos. Both lawmakers are pushing for due process and Title IX procedures. Balance between the accused and the accuser. That's the goal of 2 bills in the legislature. The bill would allow students involved in Title IX cases to have a hearing before the Missouri Administrative Hearing Commission.
Bill 259 is designed to make sure that Title IX has the best impact it can on protecting students' rights.
Senator Gary Romine and Representative Dean Dorman are proposing the bills, and they say they're pushing for due process.
We want to make sure that the system is used in such a way so that it protects both the person that's been either assaulted or accused of the assault.
But the Missouri Coalition Against Domestic and Sexual Violence says Title IX was never intended to mirror a civil or criminal justice route.
At its base, it is really about providing equitable opportunity for students.
Huffman also says the bill may cause a freezing effect for survivors who are trying to come forward.
There are elements of this proposed bill, both in the Senate and the House version, where survivors who come forward to tell their story and aren't really able to have access to safety.
Both bills have been referred to respective committees. There is no set date for when they will be heard. I sat in with frustrated community members upset about the racial disparities in traffic stops. The police department held the meeting because it wants to hear from the community. Interim Chief Jeff Jones says he wants to fix the problem, but he wants to fix the committee first. Although the members of the CPD workforce meeting come from different backgrounds, they shared the same goal: to start a conversation. This was the first meeting the department held with members of the Columbia community. It's in response to 2017 data that revealed possible racial disparities in traffic stops. African Americans account for 10% of the Columbia community, but they account for about 32% of traffic stops. Police stop blacks more than 3 times the expected rate. Interim Chief Jeff Jones says he wants to spark change.
I don't have all the answers as to why that occurs, and in the past we have taken that information, said it was insufficient, and pushed it on down the road. And I don't want to keep kicking the can. I want to get to the bottom of it.
And he says the voices of the community are the only way to get there.
But as I look around the table and see a lot of the officers and see what's going on, I see no group of African Americans that's sitting around the table.
So the meeting ended up with the goal of adding diversity to the committee. But this is only the beginning.
I would like to see a group of people who are willing to have honest, upfront conversations about the data, about the things that affect traffic stops, and to come up with community-wide solutions.
The group spent much of its time tonight looking at ways to add more diversity to the committee. The next meeting is set for March 11th. In the studio, I'm Ariel Cadet, KMU 8 News.